Drama in the race for the White House.
Yeah, once again, Donald Trump is generating it, and he's making it very personal this time.
I'm not a fan of Megyn Kelly. I think she's a third-rate reporter. I think she, frankly, is not good at what she does, and I think they could do a lot better than Megyn Kelly. And so I'm going to be making a decision with Fox, but I probably won't bother doing the debate. I see they picked me as #1.
Okay, Trump unloading again on Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly. Tonight, his camp says that he will be a no-show at that debate on Thursday. The stunning development comes less than a week from the Iowa caucuses.
KCAL 9 political reporter Dave Bryan has been following all the bickering tonight. He joins us now with more. Dave?
So, will he show or won't he? As you said, once again, Donald Trump, center of attention. The wild and woolly day on the presidential campaign trail in Iowa, a day when the leading Republican candidate's top campaign officials announced he will boycott what may well be the most important debate of the Iowa campaign, the final debate before the caucuses. At a Tuesday night rally in Iowa, Donald Trump called up members of the University of Iowa football team. But it was Trump who called an audible at the line of scrimmage and announced he was probably not going to be on stage for the final Republican presidential debate on Thursday night because he was unhappy with the Fox News Channel press release and the debate moderator.
I'm not a fan of Megyn Kelly. I think she's a third-rate reporter. I think she, frankly, is not good at what she does, and I think they could do a lot better than Megyn Kelly. And so I'm going to be making a decision with Fox, but I probably won't bother doing the debate.
A few minutes after the news conference, two top Trump campaign officials told reporters the boss will not be taking part in the final Iowa debate. His tense relationship with Kelly grew to outright hostility after she posed tough questions to Trump in the first GOP debate.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals.
Claremont McKenna College political science professor Jack Pitney says Trump's announcement is all about the attention he gets, and it could be a win-win for him.
If he stays away from the debate, all the discussion is going to be about Donald Trump. If he shows up to the debate at the last minute, all the discussion is going to be about Donald Trump. He's doing what he does so well, getting attention for himself.
Trump's leading challenger, Texas Senator Ted Cruz, locked in a tight battle to win Iowa, ridiculed Trump's announcement.
He announced he will not be there. Apparently, Megyn Kelly is really, really scary. And, you know, Donald is a fragile soul. If she asks him mean questions, I mean, his hair might stand on end.
But Professor Pitney says it's doubtful even remarks like that will have much impact on Trump supporters.
At this stage, his supporters seem so committed that it doesn't seem that anything he could say or do would shift them away from him in the short term. After all, he said a couple of days ago he could shoot somebody in Times Square and his people would still vote for him.
The latest dust-up comes on a day when Trump got two big endorsements from evangelical leader Jerry Falwell Jr. and controversial Arizona Sheriff Joe Arpaio, which help him on the abortion and immigration issues with conservatives, while Cruz argued he's the only real conservative in the race.
Who's stood and defended life and marriage and religious liberty? Who's defended the Second Amendment? Who's led the fight against Obamacare?
But Trump saved his toughest insults for the two leading Democratic presidential candidates, starting with Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders.
You have a communist? It's true. Communist. You have Hillary. I mean, you have Hillary, who is a disaster.
And when protesters tried to shout him down, this was Trump's answer.
You want to let the football team take care of it? I don't know.
Well, Trump announced that during the debate on Thursday night, he's hoping to host a fundraiser for a veterans group, perhaps the group called Wounded Warriors. That group was the subject of an investigation by CBS News after allegations of lavish spending on outside events. You can see and hear about what they found coming up later in the hour.
Well, Dave, I know that political scientist there said it could be a win-win for Trump, but it could also bring a lot of risk as well for him not showing up to this debate, right?
There's no question, and you saw a little bit of that coming from Ted Cruz in the soundbite we had in the report. I think that Cruz and all the other Republicans are going to go after Trump and with pretty heavy-duty means, because what they'll say is this the temperament of the president? to be temperamental, erratic, making decisions because he doesn't like a reporter. And then I think the other part of it will probably be, how is he going to stand up to world leaders, dictators around the world, the leaders of North Korea, China, other countries, Putin in Russia? It doesn't bode well for him if that message gets across to the voters. Lena?